Oh,
Okay,
hi,
great.
Howard.
All right. You can hear me, I can hear you.
Yes, awesome. Wow, you look like a spaceman. Oh, that is really cute with a headset. Okay, no, so never mind. All right, we're gonna start today's program. Welcome all of you to this new forum. We will invite all this devoted balance method acupuncturist and Dr. Tan's apprentice who study under Dr. Tan for such a long time. And I asked them to come up to share their learning experience and also bringing this wonderful balance method acupuncture back to their clinic and continue practicing it into their whole life, everyday life. This is every Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Another reason I choose this wonderful time because most people in the whole of the world, in Europe, right now is in the afternoon. Some of them are evening. So you guys can watch this and share the experience. And the case study, that will be the best fun part of this interview. With all this seasoned balance method practitioner, they would love to share with you first-handed because they all learn from Dr. Tan. And just like me, they are all my colleagues and my friends. So they will allow me to invite them to join me in this wonderful new forum. Sunday morning, we see each other every Sunday. So now, today, I see Howard here, Howard Chen, Dr. Howard Chen. Hi, Howard.
Hello, how are you today? Hi.
Is the sound delayed between you and me? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, the sound is a little bit delayed, but I think I'm okay, so I can hear you okay.
Great.
Yeah.
And also, not only this, I will also have Howard talk about how did he met Dr. Tan, why it's so fascinating for him to learn from Dr. Tan, and his memorable case study that he's a great impression that why he loved it. So now let me introduce you the background of the Dr. Chen. Dr. Howard Chen is the founder and director of the Chen Center for Integrated Medicine in Reno, Nevada, where he treats patients with a blended Eastern and Western medicine approach. Prior to this, Dr. Chen was also the founding medical director of the renowned Health Medical Acupuncture Clinic and their integrative primary care clinic. A devoted apprentice and assistant of Dr. Richard Tan since 2010, Dr. Chen primary Chinese medicine technique includes Dr. Tan's balance method acupuncture, 3 essentials, 八字 birth chart, quantum analysis, and the I Ching method, and all the other modality that he using for diagnosis and treatment. He also received the 八字 consultant certification from Dr. Richard Tan and is currently certified as executive practitioner with the Academy of Acupuncture. So this is Dr. Chen that I know. Of course, all the other fantastic interests of his life, once you get to know him more, and then you will know he is not just a study medicine, and he is also a very fun person to hang out with. And today I asked him to show his fun side, not the serious doctor side. So let's have a little chat with Dr. Chen. How are you, Dr. Chen?
I'm doing okay, Eileen. How about you today?
I'm doing great to have you here.
Thanks.
So would you like to tell everybody, so how did you find Dr. Tan in the midst of this all acupuncture world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started studying acupuncture actually in 2006, at least formally by then. And after I got out of acupuncture school, I started to look for kind of different teachers because I didn't feel like I had enough education about the practical nature of acupuncture. I thought, okay, theoretically I understand this, okay, but actually how do you do it? And so I followed a few different teachers around, and finally I'm so lucky that I found Dr. Tan. And I think actually it was just a flyer that Dr. Tan used to send out to different offices. And so I got one of his flyers. I said, well, wait a second, this sounds interesting. It was a 4-day class. It was, the basics class. And I remember what was most striking about taking that class is that I sat down, and the first day, Dr. Tan explained things that I've been wondering about for years. And he was able to just succinctly put it together and say, okay, so this is the derivation of these things. Like, for instance, this is how yin and yang led to the trigrams, then the hexagrams, and the 5 elements, and it all made absolute sense. And I had known for years, or I had expected for years, that there's a way to put this all together without just having to memorize it. And Dr. Tan, in the span of just one day, put it all together for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hooked. I got to keep seeing this guy. And so that was the beginning of it. And, the other thing that was really impressive about Dr. Tan's teachings about the balance method, just in general, is that it's so logical, which sounds a little bit strange sometimes, right? We're dealing with Chinese medicine, we're kind of feeling the energy and things like that. But really, I'm a Western physician, and so I was trained in a particular fashion in which, step A leads to step B, leads to step C, things like that. And when we deal with Chinese medicine, one of the things that always bothered me about Chinese medicine is that it seemed a little bit disjointed, like we couldn't quite exactly put it all together in a coherent system. But Dr. Tan and his balance method was able to put it all together in a coherent system. And I find that the best, most exciting part about the balance method is that you can modify the treatment. It's not that you just put the needles in and you pray that it's going to work, or maybe you select the needles based on, okay, spleen 6 is for these particular indications. No, you have a very good idea of what you're using, spleen 6 for, whatever point it is that you're using, and you can modify it in that if you need to add an additional benefit for your patient. The patient says, oh, I still have pain here. You can do it using logic. You don't have to guess, okay, what is going to be good? You know exactly where to put the needle. And sometimes it's on the meridian, sometimes it's not, but it doesn't matter. It's very logical. You can step it forward and you can increase it. You can treat the patient exactly how they need to be treated. And that's the ability to tailor the treatment really makes it amazing. Yeah.
Great. So that's the reason why you are continue learning from Dr. Tan.
Yeah, I mean,
tell me a little bit about the happy hour. I noticed that you're the only one usually at the happy hour you never drink.
Okay, so
and you still hanging out. I don't get it. Come on, tell me more about it.
So Dr. Tan and Eileen now. Okay, so Dr. Tan and Eileen would always run happy hours after class, right? Like if you weren't so overwhelmed by the amazing information that came into your brain during class, you could always sit down with Dr. Tan for a drink because, of course, drinking makes you understand better. Just kidding, right? So, but I had to go to these happy hours because there was no way to get all of your questions answered unless you actually sat down and talked to Dr. Tan, because you could just sit right next to him and share a drink with him. Luckily, he didn't make too much fun of me because I don't drink, but luckily he didn't make too much fun of me for drinking my virgin rum and Coke as an example. And I still got to ask him questions. And it's the same thing with Eileen as well. We get to ask Eileen questions while I'm drinking my virgin rum and Coke, so, but it's a really good place. The happy hours are a really good place to get your questions answered and to get, in some ways, another flavor of the balance method, because it's nice to know all the different aspects of it, I guess you could say.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how you use it sometimes in your clinic. When you go back to the office, you start practice with the balance method, and I see you in every seminar for many years. What is the reason that you keep on coming back to study balance method year and year? And also, I saw you in San Diego, and you went with Dr. Tan to China. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how did you like those trips?
So I keep coming back to study the balance method because there's so much more to be learned. It's almost like, you keep learning different nuances, right? So you take the beginning class as an example, you go back to your clinic and you practice, and then you have some questions. You say, this didn't quite work as I was expecting it. And then you kind of remember that maybe there was something in the back of your head that Dr. Tan or Eileen talked about. And so you have to go back because you know that it's there. It's actually much easier to learn from somebody in front of you than kind of to try to pull it out of your notes. And so every time you go and practice, you realize, oh, there's something else that maybe I missed. And every time I take the class, I find something else, right? It's because, as an example, when you're first taking the classes, let's just talk about the beginner class. When you're first taking the beginner class, you're struggling to remember, okay, what is system one or system, what are the details of the systems, as an example that Dr. Tan or Eileen was talking about. And then after that, what are the details of these combinations of different meridians? Like, is Dreyin Xiaoyang a thing? Is Taiyin Taiyang a thing? Like, how does that work, right? In the beginning, you're like, okay, I can just barely hold on. And now, after you keep going back, you're like, okay, so now I can look at the nuances. What's really, really important about kind of continue to come back and continue to go these classes is that you keep picking up new things, and there's always a different level of things to learn about, right? So as an example, you learn about the basics. Okay, then you take the advanced classes. Okay, great. You feel like you got a handle about things, and then they throw in something else, such as the I Ching, right? And then it blows your mind because you can use the I Ching in conjunction with the balance method. Oh my God, how cool is that? In fact, actually these days I spend a lot of time using I Ching. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, and then after that, you really start to pick apart the details of Chinese medicine. You start to understand, right? There's this whole branch of Chinese medicine that most of us don't ever study, which is the 5 elements. And is there something about the 5 elements that could be beneficial? And I'm not just talking just straight up, Worsley 5 elements type stuff. I'm talking about really understanding each one of the elements and trying to understand, using the Chinese calendar to help you understand. Can you actually understand what's going on with your patient in the past, now, and in the future? Yes. And that's amazing, right? It's not even just I Ching, which tells you what the answer is for today or for tomorrow. Like, you can understand a person's almost entire life by understanding their relationship to the Chinese calendar. And so here we're talking about kind of Bazi or the 3 essentials, but it's really kind of understanding the Chinese calendar and 5 elements that just completely brings in a whole new dimension to Chinese medicine. I mean, if you were feeling bored for some reason with Chinese medicine, or in my case, if you're feeling bored with Western medicine, then you would say, okay, let's take a look at the 5 elements. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden I understand so much more. By the way, I have to throw in, what I love most about the 5 elements is that it enables me to answer questions just about anything. My patients say to me, questions not just like, okay, well, Dr. Chen, what do I do about my high blood pressure? Or what do I do about this ache in my back? It's not even those questions. They ask me questions such as, is my boyfriend right for me? What do I do for a living? Like, should I go to school or should I like get a job? And they're ridiculous questions to most practitioners, right? Except for the fact that once you studied Bazi, I Ching, and of course the balance method, all these answers come simple. I don't even have to think so hard. I'm like, oh, of course. So let me tell you exactly the type of people you should surround yourself with, or in some ways kind of the type of job you should be seeking. What is the profession for you? And should you be with this person, by the way? And is it time to have kids or not? And all these questions come easy to answer. And that is amazing. That is something that no style can teach you other than the balance method. And that is just, I keep talking about this all day, as you can see, right?
So let me give a shout out to our teacher, and the teacher Christian St. Pierre, teaching the 3 essential class. And you and I was last year, the whole year, we will follow him around in New York and Toronto and all that places when he was teaching. And we were so excited that we learned it in a way, very, very organized way. And we were so much improved on the concept and the rules. So I like you to talk about a little bit about that, and because we're gonna save some time for our case study, and that would be awesome. So if anyone who is interested for taking the 3 essential classes, which is that Dr. Chen was talking about, get to know your patient more in the depth understanding, and that will be the class for you to take. So go ahead, Dr. Chen, tell us, how do you, benefit from the class that you took from the last year?
Yeah, actually, so I originally certified with the 3 essentials, otherwise known as the Bazi classes, with Dr. Tan when he first ran his class. And then a few years later, I had the opportunity to come back and learn again, this time with Christian, because unfortunately Dr. Tan is gone at this point. What's really important to know about Dr. Tan's method is that, the balance method, is that he always encouraged people to go further. He would say, okay, so this is what I have. This is what I teach you now. This is what I know, but you need to take this further. And Christian St. Pierre is one of those people who's taken it much, much further, and amazingly, actually. And so I'm actually excited, very excited to take Christian's class about the Bazi, specifically because he brought in other factors that Dr. Tan never got a chance to elucidate. Obviously Dr. Tan left us a little bit too soon, but one of the things that Dr. Tan wanted to put together in the future for his classes was a little bit more understanding. He wanted to add different elements, different aspects into the Bazi, and I think that's what Christian was able to do. And in addition, he was also able to clarify a lot of the things that Dr. Tan touched upon, but didn't really get a chance to tell us exactly the details about. And so he was Christian's class with the Bazi was really amazing. It was very, very useful. And then, again, just like his other classes, just like the other Academy classes, in terms of taking it again and again, I got so much out of it this time, even more than I got out of the Dr. Tan class. And so I thought it was a great win. I'm just excited I'm allowed to take it again. So.
Oh, what do you mean you're allowed to? Just give me the money. I'm just kidding. And I'm also very looking forward to your class. One day you will teach for the Academy, because we can working on some of those great classes that you learn. So you integrate it all together, that we will be able to put some classes on for you. That will be a deal between you and me and the Academy, okay?
That sounds good. I have to say, one of my favorites is talking about kind of personality and the 5 elements. I mean, Bazi is amazing, and the personality, I think, is a subset. And I think it's very, very important that people understand who their patients are, because once you understand that and your patients know who they are, you can do almost anything that you need to get them to feel better. And the trust is amazing.
Yes, I agree. So now we already have halfway, and it's time for you to share the most fun experience, either yours or Dr. Tan's, whichever one that you think the most that you want to share with everyone. That's the time that everybody's waiting for.
I was actually thinking about this, because it's interesting. Once you start practicing the balance method, you almost become used to amazing results, right? So as an example, I have plenty of patients. They come in and see me I have neck and shoulder pain, Dr. Chen. And I'm like, okay, just give me a few moments. I put some needles in their ankle, obviously the liver and the spleen on the aspects of the lower extremities. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can move so much better. I'm like, hey, okay, what else do we need to work on? And it's almost unbelievable how fast you can get people better. But there's one case that I want to talk about. It's actually not even my case, but there's one case that I saw once that I want to talk about that is by and far the most impressive use of the balance method that I've ever seen. And so I'll try to keep it simple, right? So here we go. This is a 29-year-old male. It's a student of Dr. Tan's, and we're actually at Dr. Tan's 60th birthday party. Sorry, you guys missed it. Probably it was in Vegas. Eileen was there.
I was there.
Yes, yeah. Eileen got to eat fire and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Eileen
was there anyway. Yeah, exactly. So it was Eileen was eating fire that night. Yes, so that was that kind of party. Okay, so anyway, so you can imagine that one of the students might have drank too much. You guys know I don't drink, so it wasn't me. Okay. So, all right. So obviously it's kind of a downer when there's one person that's way too drunk at a party, right? And so Dr. Tan takes this particular student into one of the back rooms, because it was actually at his house in Vegas. And so he takes the student to one of the back rooms and does a specific treatment that we actually all know about, at least if you study the bounce method. It's the magical 8+1. But if you're kind of wanting to tease that apart a little bit, it's actually a combination of Tai Yin Yang Ming and Jui Yin Xiaoyang. But that's not necessarily super important. The important part is that so we have this very drunk student. He's lying down, he's kind of moaning, and Dr. Tan says, okay, he's trying to throw up, right? Okay, I don't want to say that he threw up all over Dr. Tan because that would be weird, right? But so he's lying down, moaning, kind of writhing. Dr. Tan's like, look, I know what's wrong with you. Just let me put some needles in. The student's like, no, don't do it, Dr. Tan. Dr. Tan's like, you need this. And everybody knows he needs it, right? So Dr. Tan puts in the magical 8+1. And no joke, within about 15 minutes, the guy's not drunk anymore. I saw this, right? So like we're all used to these amazing treatments. You're like, okay, magical 8+1. We usually use it for heartburn or, abdominal pain, things like that. Okay, fine. And it works great, except for the fact that I had never thought about using it for being drunk. And that was an amazing way of using the treatment. Because in Western medicine, we don't have the ability to get somebody from being drunk to not being drunk in a few minutes, right? There's not really even a medication for that. Usually, in the emergency room, there's a drunk tank, right? You take them into the drunk tank and you leave them there. You make sure they're hydrated and that kind of stuff. And maybe you give them some IV fluids and that kind of stuff. But what's most important is that we don't have a medication that will reverse alcohol. There's a medication to reverse narcotic overdose, absolutely, but there's not one for alcohol. So a treatment using 9 needles that takes 15 minutes to work or less, and all of a sudden the guy's not drunk and he's able to function. Oh my, that is amazing. And that is part of the reason why I can't stop coming to the balance method, because there's so many little things that you just notice and you say, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I have to say there were not that many people in the room because, I was hanging out with Dr. Tan. I wasn't drinking, so I was like, okay, I'll just see what Dr. Tan's doing. So there weren't that many people in the room. So I feel very lucky to have been able to see that and just amazed that it worked that quickly. And so these days, I'm very excited to use acupuncture, especially the balance method, in conjunction with Western medicine. For me, it's like the best combination in the world because we're able to treat so many things. And if I can't treat it from Western, I treat it with acupuncture. And if I can't treat it with acupuncture, I treat it with Western. So it works really, really well. And this is why I do both these days. And this is why I can't stop coming to the balance method treatments or the balance method classes, because there's always something else that's really exciting. So how's that, Eileen?
That's a great. And also now you understand why you always want to hang out afterwards, because you can see the real actions.
Right.
Happy
exactly.
hours, parties. That's why Dr. Tan always asks me to throw parties. That's why people can also get to know him and then see how you can be having the acupuncture as a career, as a profession, also integrated in the life of any moments that you have. And you can see that we can do acupuncture anytime we want. It's just amazing to be able to hang out with Dr. Tan like that. But by the way, I experienced that hangover treatment quite a lot, okay? This is
I wasn't going to say anything about that, Eileen. Who knows? Nobody knows that Eileen drinks, so yeah.
Oh, nobody knows Eileen drinks, right? She just drink like a fish, but nobody knows Eileen's drinking, right?
Hey, look, I wasn't going to incriminate you. It's fine.
Oh, okay, good. I don't, no problem. So yeah, also, you also went to, that's a great case study. If you guys don't know about it, don't forget, every time I was teaching in the lecture, when I was doing the A Magical +1, I always talk about hangover treatment. Exactly the hangover treatment that was Dr. Tan was doing, which Dr. Tan did at that weekend of the 60 years old birthday in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, how did he do it? He drink every night, and then he's drinking with everybody, as he usually do. And the next day morning, he still go up and teach the lecture. Do you remember, Howard? He still lectured the 4 days. Yep. And then every night party.
Yep.
And I'm a inherit this teaching position, okay? But I do not have his ability to be able to drink whole night, teaching another day, go party and drink whole night. I didn't learn that. That's why you can see all my white hair comes out already. So now, I only have a very short time for the happy hour. So just talk to me there and hang out with me there. And that is a great gift from you guys to me. Yeah.
Hey, Eileen, maybe I can say one more thing about
Yes,
kind
please.
of acupuncture. And so, you know, Dr. Tan, he would joke around. He'd say, like, for instance, I've taught you like the $1 million points as an example. And why does he call it the $1 million points? It's because you can make $1 million out of it, you know, because it was the back pain treatments. But more important than making money from acupuncture is enjoying and feeling like you have efficacy and the ability to make people's lives better. The beauty of the balance method is that not only do you put the needles in, you get almost instantaneous results, but you feel good about yourself because you can see that you're helping people. And there's something about that that's really important, because otherwise, you know, there's so many people these days, especially in this difficult healthcare environment, they're burning out because they feel, oh, you know, maybe what I'm doing isn't helpful, or maybe it's too stressful. But truthfully, when you do something like acupuncture, you see immediate results. Not only does your patient feel better, but you feel better. And that is very, very important. And so I credit Dr. Tan with giving me something to prevent myself from burning out and to keep me practicing for all these years. And that is one of the most amazing gifts that I feel like he gave us. Yes, the technique is amazing, but the ability to keep the practitioner, the acupuncturist, from being unhappy about their life. And so many of our acupuncturists feel unhappy. They, you know, they go through school, they get into the real world, they start to practice, they can't really make it work because the techniques don't exactly work. All of a sudden you learn the balance method, you feel good because you could treat your patients, and they look at you like you're a real helper. And that is so, so nice. And so that's probably why I'm still practicing, why I'm still doing medicine. So I thought that was important to say.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is also the reason why I become front end salesperson to sell acupuncture needles and to become an acupuncturist. And today I am practiced already more than 15 years. I think that changes me, that Dr. Tan really leads me and guide me through, with me as a very hot temper and then blunt personality, that I can be the way I am today. Look at that smile.
Actually, I'm just smiling because I'm trying not to tell the audience about like your personality analysis. And I can tell you exactly why Eileen is strong-willed as well as has a hot temper, but maybe I should save that we'll save that for another day. We'll let Christian talk about it. Anyway.
No, he won't be. He's way correct. Very discreet. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Very discreet.
That's because he's yin wood, but that's a whole different story. All right.
Yes, absolutely. So we have 2 more minutes. Number one, I like to share with everybody is next week we have John Mini. Who is John Mini? John Mini is the first apprentice from Dr. Tan's seminars. And for a very, very long time, for almost 30 years, he been followed Dr. Tan faithfully. He is our balanced method acupuncture big brother. We respect him, we love him. And next week it will be John Mini to be here, to be interviewed with me and Howard. I will also invite you to join us. And if you want to be a part of the hangout, that would be great. And we can pick his brain to find out what more that he has and what he has developed for the balanced method herbal prescription. So that will be next year, our powerhouse seminar. John Mini will teach balanced method related with herbal medicine. So he's gonna use the balanced method to prescribe herbs for all of us. And I'm hoping you guys will all join me every Sunday. We're gonna have a great forum talking about past, present, and the future. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen. And anything else you want to talk to everybody?
That's it. That's enough.
I like to ask you, are you on our WhatsApp group?
I'm on several of your WhatsApp groups. Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Good. So everyone, if you're in the WhatsApp group, if you have any question for Dr. Chen, go for it. Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Oh boy. All right.
And
Good to see
Dr.
you
Chen
guys.
is very diligent, answer text message.
Thanks.
All right, see you guys next week, Sunday, 11 Pacific Standard Time. Please on time, and I will see you there. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Bye-bye,
Chen.
everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.